How does this Cowboys team get better in a hurry? Oh, they better hit on these draft picks that they got. That's what we're going to talk about here in Below the Belt. We will head to Indianapolis for the Scouting Combine 1 week from tomorrow. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know you are. I was just about to say, I was listening to a little bit of the show yesterday, and I have not heard you hype up a trip this much. Feels like you're the master of ceremonies leading us around, which I'm kind of terrified of. RJ said he got the dinner reservation that I'm convinced will be canceled. But then I'm not convinced it's canceled because you said no one's actually going to be out and about that I want to see and stargaze over because their reservations and dinners are going to start at 9 p.m. and ours is 6:30.
Roughly 9.
7:30. 7:30.
9. So as we're leaving dinner, we may run into them coming in for their reservations. But 10 o'clock, Prime 47 opens up. They literally take out all their tables when the steakhouse would normally close, and they say, we're staying open until 2 in the morning this week, and we're going to turn it into a bar. So they put up all their tables except for a select few. Like David Cantor will usually say, well, I want a table, so I'm going to pay for one. So
that's
leave
an
it
agent?
Up. Yep, agent. That's DeMarcus Lawrence's agent. Also Rico Dowdle and Jordan Lewis. So we'll stop by Prime 47.
What's that?
A couple guys that won't be here next year.
Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe we'll just have to ask somebody there at Prime
Jordan
47. Yeah, absolutely. Jordan Lewis is that's this era's DAT win for Cowboys fans. But we'll be out there. It'll be a great trip. And we're going to be out there to check out the NFL Scouting Combine. And Dane Brugler has officially dropped his top 100 prospects of the NFL Draft. Number 1 on his list. Counter to what a lot of people are kind of shifting towards.
Carter.
Daniel Jeremiah and a lot of others are going towards Carter. And they've got Carter number 1.
Abdul Carter.
He has Travis Hunter number 1 as a cornerback, as the number 1 prospect in the draft. And I still think that's who I've got number 1.
All right, so Dane has Travis 1.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that's who I still have as out of all the players that I've studied, which I'm 60 deep at this point. Travis Hunter to me is the best player in the draft.
And Broadus has him as a receiver.
He believes he's a receiver. Yeah, and I understand why. So this is the comparison that I've made before: is that when you watch him play, he's much lighter than Jalen Ramsey was. But he's physical. He's a good cover guy. He's incredibly high IQ. He reminds me very much of Ramsey as a corner. As a receiver, he could still be like a Pro Bowl level receiver. But I look at him as like Chris Godwin, which is like Godwin's good. But if you told me I could have Godwin or Ramsey, I want Jalen Ramsey.
Give me the corners in the last 3 drafts who you had scouted better than Hunter.
Oh my gosh! Off the top of my head. I don't think anybody's been ahead of what I would have Hunter at. Hunter's way up at the top for me. Like to me, I don't think that there's I really liked years ago Marshawn Lattimore, but it's Lattimore, Ramsey are the guys that kind of pop into my head.
Okuda Matata?
I had Okuda high. I didn't have Okuda as high as I did Hunter, but I definitely had him near the top. I thought Okuda was really good. I really liked CJ Henderson from Florida a couple years ago, but he ended up having a lot of mental health issues and different things like that. But Travis Hunter would...
Quinyon Mitchell?
I did not have Mitchell as high as I have Hunter. Hunter would be...
Terry and Arnold?
Nope, not even close. The guys that would be close would be Lattimore and Jalen Ramsey in the last 10 years for me. But I think he's absolutely fantastic as a corner and just natural and has complete feel of how to play the position. All the instincts are perfect. And look, as a receiver, if he was only a receiver, I'd be very much in favor of taking him in the top 10. He just wouldn't be my number 1 player.
Wow.
He is truly unique and a fantastic player. He's got him at cornerback. That's where Dane Brugler has him ranked. You go down the list. He's got Ashton Genty ranked number 5 on this list, which we're still trying to... That feels like that's going to be what sets up as, okay, what's the big argument that people go... value versus he's so good. It's like the Bijan question that never was actually going to get to the Cowboys. This one has a real chance to get to him. If the Cowboys don't take him at 12, a lot of people are speculating Genty could fall all the way to 19 as the 5th best player in the NFL or in the NFL draft because of just the type of
value.
It's the type of player he does. These are some of my notes that I've got on Genty after I watch him play because Genty to me he's top 3 player in the draft. I've got him in the top 3. But he looks like a pinball when you watch him run. He just bounces off of people. He's got great balance. His body control, his ability to stay upright through traffic is fantastic. It is incredibly rare to see him go down on first contact. I don't know if I can remember a single time on tape where he went down on the first hit. It's consistently you have to group tackle him in order to be able to knock his out. What's interesting about him is a deficiency I feel like is as physical as he is and as much as he bounces, he is not a great short yardage back. Like when he's in space, he's difficult to bring down and he bounces off of people and he's really tough to tackle. But when you get really tight in between the tackles and it's short yardage and it's just push, like I do kind of wonder about that lower body churn of his, if that's going to be a strength of his. But I mean, this is a guy who they will line up to play outside at receiver and throw him, they'll have him run legitimate routes as receiver. It's almost just as fun to watch him pass protect as it is to watch him run the ball. He's really violent picking up blitzes and really physical and really smart. I think he's fantastic. Biggest problem is just, if you look at the NFL and college, it's like 3 times in the last 20 years that even an NFL player touched the ball as much in a season as Genty touched it this year. Like you're talking about guys who play 18 games potentially when you include the playoffs. Genty was equaling their total. He had over 400 touches this year. He had more touches this year than Rico Dowdle had in his career heading into this season.
Now, the punishment of a college game, not necessarily what it is in the NFL, but still, it's scary.
No, but
that's a lot of car crashes.
Yeah, and his style, though, is very physical, and that's the type of football that he plays. The Cowboys are picking 12th. The number 12 prospect on this list is Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall. Wolchuk and Brian are really high on him. He's a really fun player, really bendy type of edge rusher. He's picking up a lot of momentum. But I think when you're looking at value and some of the things that make sense for the Cowboys, if one of those receivers can get down to 12 for you, it's so thin behind the top group that I would be in favor of, let's take a Tetaroa McMillan, or we got to really strongly look at Luther Burden from Missouri, because we got to know if we're going to have the receiver here. We don't want to have a running back situation where we say we'll get one later like last year's draft and then they get wiped out.
So you want to reach a little bit because of the lack of depth, the drop-off.
McMillan wouldn't be a reach. You'd have to pray he gets down to you. That's the receiver from Stanford, or not Stanford,
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah. You would have to pray that he gets down to you. Because right now he's probably 8-9 range. Burden would be a little bit early, but I would guess trade back, maybe pick up that 4th that you gave away for Mingo, take Burden, or at that point, as they head into the draft, are they going to look at a Cooper Kupp? Are they going to look at one of these free agent receivers? Do they go, oh, you know what? Let's bring Stephon Diggs in here on a value deal. See if we can build back up his value, get him in here with his brother. Let's get one of these veteran receivers, and then we've covered ourselves, and we can just pick best player at number 12 instead of feeling like we're reaching. The most recent mock draft I saw from Dane had Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, going to Dallas, which I think even though it's a corner and not a defensive lineman, I think selling Cowboys fans on a Michigan player would probably be pretty tough in the first round again. But look, you'd be replacing potentially Jordan Lewis with somebody like that, knowing that Trayvon Diggs is probably not going to be at full strength when the season rolls around.